Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871, trying to stop my camera from swinging here. Let's try this again. Last one I did just way too fucking long. Alright, so it's a little bit of a variety showcase today. We're going to be talking about how long America can keep up its charades in regards to certain things. We're going to be starting with our weather. Finally, at last, we finally got our summertime weather. As we can see, I finally got a little perspiration going on here. Some perspiration. And the weather was extremely late coming. Spring was a laughable joke. I would estimate it to be like 10, maybe even 15 degrees cooler than it normally is. We haven't even had any really good thunderstorms lately. Not that I'm necessarily complaining, but that's just the truth. As a matter of fact, what was it, a couple years ago, as I was leaving out of the Atlantic City construction site and migrating my way back to the old man's cabin to spend the summer there, mid-April, it all took place in like a thunderstorm. I was riding my bike in a thunderstorm. And it just goes to show you how the weather is, the climate, should I say. It has been changing. I'm sorry, I don't believe that this climate change is being caused by carbon emissions, internal combustion engine. I do believe that planet Earth has changed its climate radically many times in its 4 billion year history, and it's going to continue to do so. I believe the Homo sapiens species is completely powerless. So not only did humans not cause it, but humans also don't have the power to stop it. I mean, I'm sure the carbon emissions attribute to it, but in a galactic scale, we're talking about so maybe carbon emissions brought on climate change 500 years sooner than it would have. The next nuclear winter, or the next whatever it is, the next ice cap meltdown, whatever it is, maybe humans brought it on a couple of hundred years sooner. And I'm sorry, but that's nothing in the grand scheme of things of a galactic history that's like, billions and billions of years old. So the weather's been very difficult to call the past few weeks. Our meteorologists have been calling for either a storm or rain or this, and a lot of times it doesn't happen. I know a lot of people give a lot of shit and a lot of grief to a lot of meteorologists. I'm usually on their side, because if they get it wrong every now and then, that's no big deal. That's just simply the nature of the weather. Humans are never going to ever actually have, 100% accuracy. It just isn't going to happen. But here lately, we've definitely seen that things have gotten extremely difficult to call and predict, and that with our very lagging temperatures, we're just now getting into summer, and it's late June. We should have had these warmer temperatures 3 to 4 weeks ago. It's just very, very late getting here. I said a couple of months ago that the atmosphere feels very supercharged. I can't help but wonder and speculate that end of summer, fall, are we in for a bitch of a storm season? I think we are. I think it's going to be really bad, and what's going to make it so bad is the fact that because it's been so difficult for meteorologists to call and predict these things, and the severity of them and exactly when they're going to hit, I think we're going to get a lot of false alarms. And because so many of these meteorologists don't want to be the boy who cries wolf, they're going to err on the side of caution, and eventually, we're going to get a couple of storms that it's going to, decimate the area, thinking that it wasn't going to be that bad. So if I were you guys, I would definitely flock out and get stocked up on your storm prepper stuff. Not necessarily apocalyptic end of the world, but your storm prepper stuff. Let's get stocked up on that. So yeah, the weather's going to be very difficult to predict this year, this season. Just be ready for anything. And yeah, how long can they keep up that charade? Thinking climate change being what it is, you know. Okay, moving on. We're talking now about our Capitol Gazette mass shooter. Not really a whole lot here that I really want to talk about, other than the fact that the media isn't talking about anything new. All they ever want to talk about is the death toll and the type of weapon. Death toll, type of weapon. That's it. That's all you ever want to hear from major media, because our major media is so liberal, so anti-Second Amendment, that that's all they want to do is just simply talk about that. And we never ever hear about the motive. You know, at our initial press conferences, when we hear reporters asking about what caused it, you know, the FBI, ATF, you know, Homeland Security, they swat it down. They swat those questions down, and it's always being said that it's because it's part of an investigation, or we just don't know. Okay, fine, I'll give you that, but the point is that we never hear anything more of it. You know, the alphabet soup, FBI, ATF, CIA, all of it, you know, the whole alphabet soup, they heavily depend on the news cycle, on the next thing coming in to just simply, you know, divert America's attention away from what just happened. And we never hear about the motive, and we never hear about their psychology. You know, if anything, then maybe something like a Dateline, or, you know, when they go to do those retrospectives, you know, it's been 10 or 15 years ago today that such and such, and then you might hear them, you know, readdress motives and things like that. But, you know, that's fucking decade ago and shit. I think it's because they're terrified of giving a mass shooter a platform. But if the mass shooter is actually that fucking crazy, then, you know, why are you so terrified? This takes us to media, the liberal media, boy, I tell you, it's not just, you know what, not just simply liberal media, it's major media, period, because it's also the conservative crackpots over at Fox News as well. What I wanted to say about our major media, be it conservative or liberal, these people might as well as just simply put out casting calls, okay? Literally, like shooting a movie. Fox News might as well as pull out a casting call seeking conservative, wholesome-looking white woman who's willing to say disparaging things about immigrants, you know, illegal aliens. And CNN, they're no better. They might as well as put out a casting call looking for overachieving minority, preferably immigrant that can, you know, tout your successes. You know, you're just simply looking for people to advance your own narrative, okay? Publications are supposed to have their editorial section, okay? But the reality is that the whole fucking thing is editorial, okay? None of it has anything to do with any kind of independent fact-finding. All of it's always going to be about an editorial. What kind of people are we willing to put on air? And don't get me wrong, both conservative and liberals are always willing to have their high-paid talking head counterpoint, you know, to create the air and the illusion of impartial, you know, and it's not impartial. Definitely, for sure, none of the major medias are ever interested in my story. Case in point, I remember I called all of the major media outlets after the McDonald's discrimination case. None of them were interested in my story. One particular one was, I called Eric Hughes over at 6ABC. Okay, explained the situation. He watched my video. He never called me back. I gave him a call a couple of times to follow up to see, did you see the video? He said that he saw it, and that right now we just don't really have anybody we can spare. I think he claimed some ridiculousness that all of our reporters are down covering the Puerto Rican hurricane. Puerto Rican hurricane. And then you wonder why you're being called fake news, okay? Now, mind you, in that same week, if I'm not mistaken, I might be a couple of weeks, but in that same time frame, on 6ABC, there was a story, a segment on their news. Fat, black, ghetto women fighting in a fast food establishment. I forget the exact one. I don't know if it was McDonald's or Burger King or whatever it may be. But they had no problem whatsoever putting that. Gee, Eric, I thought all of your reporters were all whisked away to Puerto Rico to cover all that strife and tragedy. Oh, but you could spare a few to show black people behaving at their worst. I see. Yes. Yes, but a homeless person like me, intelligent, articulate. Obviously, I have the means of crafting my own narrative. So, you're not really looking for that, are you? Right. Because that's what all major media does. They're all looking to craft their own narrative. And if you don't fit the casting call, if you don't fit the cattle call's bill, then guess what? You're not going to get cast, okay? And that's basically what it is. All these people you see on the news, whether it's Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, all of them, they're all there as a casting call. They're all there to advance the narrative of the studio, of the network. If you're not there to help them advance their political agenda, then they're not interested in you. So no, major media does not actually, so yeah, that there is some truth to what Donald Trump has to say when he calls these agencies fake news. It's not true in the fashion that Donald Trump is saying it. Donald Trump just simply likes coverage that's favorable of him, and that's it. And Donald Trump is an imbecile and an idiot, and he's completely unqualified to be president. Matter of fact, I don't even think Donald Trump's necessarily qualified to run his own fucking company, let alone America. I mean, he's bankrupt how many fucking times? So, yeah, so, how long can major media keep up that charade of being fair, balanced, impartial? It's just a charade that you're desperately trying to keep up and running, and it just simply isn't going to happen. Alright, let's move on now to I'm doing pretty good here. Oh my god, the first video was 35 fucking minutes. Alright, moving on to Toys R Us. Poor Toys R Us. I think today is their last day. Let's see, Toys R Us. I'm going to put it to you like this. Like I said about the whole toy reps and things like that. I went on YouTube and I was watching Battle of the Planets last night. Oh my god, I don't want the video to get super long, but I never realized all the shit that was going on in that fucking cartoon, man. There's a lot of gender bending going on. All the men are wearing thigh-high boots with a pronounced heel, almost like a pump, or maybe even a high heel Zoltar. He's got the pink lipstick on. And if you go to look at their chest emblem, the male, female, sick, okay? And of course, we all saw what Prince did with his weirdness and whatnot, his gender bending sick thing and whatnot. We see the arrow points down in the female position, and then it also has some kind of design going on at top. So we see there's some gender bending. Okay, leaving that alone, moving on. I don't want to get super long again. So I was Toys R Us. Like I said, the reps, they go out. They've been doing this forever. And it wasn't just simply a Transformer thing. They've been doing it forever, doing it for years. Most of the time, these acquisitions, if you want to call it that, that the reps will acquire while overseas, most of them turn out to be duds. 98% turn out to be fucking duds and shit. So when they go to strike these deals with these toy manufacturers, nobody really knows what it is. But the point that I'm making is, when they go to strike their deal, it's fair and it's equitable. Or at least it was. We want these robots you got that turn into all these different type of things, and jets and cars and trucks and da da da, and hell, you even got one that turns into a tape recorder. So we want this. We want to put it over here in the States, and the Asians, number one, those toys have probably been, circulating in Asia for years, probably since like the late 70s, if I had to say. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever you say. They basically, kind of like how Walmart, they are some motherfuckers. Walmart tells its suppliers how much they're going to be paying, okay? That's just the kind of power that Walmart has. Huffy, Huffy, you're going to sell us your cruiser, your single-speed cruiser bikes. We want 10,000 of them, and you're going to sell them to us for this price, because we're going to be selling them for that price. And Huffy's going to be like, okay. Basically, okay. And that's kind of the relationship it was with Asia, the Asian toy market, with Mattel, Hasbro, Tommy, Toynami, and a bunch of other stuff, Playmates and whatnot. And so then all of a sudden Transformers turns into a huge hit. It's total culture icon. And then we have our Asian manufacturing plants, corporations. Now remember, the original deal was fair and equitable. They made their profit. Everybody made a profit. But now that we have a hit on our hands, okay, holy fucking shit, we're going to renegotiate everything now. So it starts going up. It gets passed, the price increase gets passed along to consumers. The materials, maybe even regulations as well, it was not just simply the toy lead stuff, but sharp points and things and all kinds of stuff, parts of different toys, how small the guns used to fire, little small projectiles. You probably never get that in the States these days, considered too much of a hazard, a choke hazard. But yeah, that's what happens, all of this capitalism, because remember, this is all being done in capitalism. These are all hallmarks of capitalism, and it just simply all latches on to this winning toy, this winning horse of yours, and it just so much weight, and it just begins to well, I'll put it to you like this. It's a very, what do you call it, serendipity, whatever you want to call it. Before there was YouTube, I remember watching like a National Geographic or maybe a Lauren Green Wild Kingdom type thing. This particular sad, tragic episode showed a baby calf giraffe. Like I said, very ironic. Because giraffe mascot, Toys R Us. This baby calf giraffe was completely infested with some of the worst infestation of ticks you've ever seen in your life. I mean, clusters of ticks could be seen at a distance. They were filming the thing with a telephoto lens, and eventually the baby calf just, I guess it'd be like a heart attack, I suppose, because from blood loss, sanguination, collapsed and died. That's just nature being nature. And but yes, very apt analogy for what brought down Toys R Us. Not only that, also, remember the apartment that I was staying in last summer, wasn't it? Yes, last summer. The owner of that apartment, condo, whatever you want to call it, He's what's called a toy dealer. Now, a toy dealer is something very different than a toy collector. I used to be a toy collector, meaning that I would collect, like the entire... I wanted an entire collection of whatever it was that I was collecting, all right? All right. The toy dealer, they go in to get the very hard, rare to find item. So whenever you go to toy stores like Toys R Us, and what was it? Was it last year? The fucking Hatchimals, or man, there's all kinds of whatever. Was Teacup Pigs one year, and who remembers Tamagotchis? And then there were Beanie Babies, and guys like the buddy of mine that owned the apartment. He's the reason why you never find it. Okay, so he was a huge drag on the toy market. And then you had the employees themselves who would kind of take little kickbacks, offer storeroom back tours, take the dealer into the storeroom and back, and let them basically cherry pick everything that they wanted, leaving behind the less desirable action figures, or the ones that are not rare. And I was going to save this story for a whole separate video about Jewish real estate and how far you can push people with the cost of living. I'll toss it in now. Playmates, they are the distributor of the Star Trek franchise. At least they were for Next Generation and the original stuff. They might still be. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a very long time since I've been out of the loop. 1701. 1701 is the registration number of the Enterprise, both original and Next Generation. They wanted to do something special for Next Generation. They made 1,701 Captain Picards, and that's it, no more. Playmates completely underestimated the completest collector that was out there. This was something where you didn't know your demographic, and I think this all took place before social media was really out there, So a lot of this stuff was a crapshoot. The completist, I don't think I would call myself a completist, but a near completist, where I wanted to have them all and whatnot. And a lot of these, a lot of them were, dare I say, borderline special need, Rain Man, must have them all, kind of like that maybe. Anyway, whatever the reason, they underestimated their market, and they didn't make enough of these Picards because there was only 1,700 of them, 1701, and it was basically a mass revolt. If I can't have it all, then I don't want any of it. Next thing you know, at the flea markets, like I said, this was just before eBay had even taken off, everybody was unloading their Star Trek collections. Suddenly, something that was valuable turned into fucking nothing, okay? It just collapsed. The whole thing collapsed. The movie franchise suffered. They weren't getting the money from the toys, and it all just ended up collapsing. Very bad marketing is what happened here. Everybody was just, every toy expo, every flea market, everywhere you turn, you just saw Next Generation toys. And right now, out there on Harding Highway, I think it is, Farpoint Toys, out here in Mays Landing, Hamilton Township. Go check them out. You'll find all kinds of really cool shit in there. And I guarantee you, their Next Generation action figures, mint on card, unopened toy. I seriously doubt it's going to be more than what it retailed for. $5 or $6 per action figure. So, you didn't understand your market, and you suffered for that. That's what's going to happen with the housing market. The Jewish oligarchy, I don't think they understand what they're doing when they cause things to be so phenomenally expensive. You're going to eventually push people like me into doing what I'm doing now. I do have enough money for disability to... Actually, no, maybe not. Because like I said, I checked into a low-income housing atrium. And because, you know, they seem to understand that it would take my entire check. You know, it would be completely wiped out, the entire check. And they seem to understand there wouldn't be nothing left over. So with it being so close to the bone, they would choose not to roll the dice on a person like me. But that aside, you know, if there were somebody out there that were willing to roll the dice and take on such a tenant who would basically sign over, you know, your entire check to them, the landlord, and you just simply have nothing. That's the scenario that the Jew so often creates, whether they know it or not. And you're pushing your demographic into extremes, and you keep doing it. And yeah, just like with the 1701 Picard, you're going to find that people are going to start giving you both middle fucking fingers, okay? They've completely had it. People are tired of living in poverty. And who are we kidding? It's created by you. You didn't have to charge this much, but you do. You do because people are conditioned, mentally conditioned into paying that much. Not because what you offer is actually worth it. Just like with our Transformers. They now cost that much more. Why? Because you are conditioned into paying it. You have a winning horse. You have a highly sought after thing. So therefore, we're going to make it that much more expensive. This is all capitalism run amok. And you're going to end up causing a mass revolt. And we've already seen it. And like I said in my last episode, we've seen people like myself looking for alternative forms, tiny houses, trailers. And what's happening, and I want to be fair to the Jewish oligarchy here, I'm not entirely sure that the Jew is the driving force here to that kind of gentrification. But the point is that the alternative forms of living, it's being highly gentrified. So it's like, boom, nope, you can't come here. Boom, nope, you can't go here. I guess you better go back to the Jew, because our trailers are too fucking swankity swank. You know, although it's a lot cheaper than their houses and their property, but still, you know, we suddenly want, you know, 100 fucking thousand. You know, it's ridiculous. Kind of like do you know how much the no-name brand of this costs? Like 50 cents less than the name brand. That's it. Not a whole hell of a lot. So that's basically what's happening with our gentrification in the trailers. They have jacked up the price so high, because no-name brand cereal used to cost like, it was 50% less than name brand. But now it's just a few cents less. And they've jacked it up, you know, so high. It's like, so trailers, the alternative forms of living used to be so incredibly affordable. But they've now taken an approach, they're using gentrification as the tool, as the excuse for increasing it, because it's greed, it's corporate greed. The people who make the tiny homes, they now want, I don't know, maybe they want to be the next Jewish oligarchy, you know. And granted, a lot of them are Christian white-owned, or actually, I don't even know their fucking faith, all right? I'm just making assumptions there, I'm sorry. But I'm just trying to be fair to the Jewish oligarchy, because I'm not entirely sure that they're probably looking into it. The Jewish oligarchy, they're keeping a close eye on this whole alternative living thing, and they are definitely wanting to know how close of a threat assessment it is to their precious real estate. Because remember, they have billions and billions tied up in real estate. We saw how crucial the American economy is. the '08 to '09 housing market collapse. So we see, and yes, the gentrification is there to keep well, it's just something not there for the poor anymore. So much more I could say. I'm at 30 fucking minutes, man. I need to end this. All right, maybe you understand, maybe you don't. How long are all these charades going to be able to be carried off by all these different things, you know? The charade of capitalism run amok. How long is this going to be carried on? Total Control, 871.